Belize produced $663.1 million worth of goods and services from July to September of this year. This is $11.5 million in value of goods and services, or 1.8% growth for the same time last year. The Statistical Institute of Belize says that this increase in the third quarter GDP is largely as a result of activities in the secondary sector, in manufacturing, transportation, wholesale and retail trade, increased. The extended dry spell also caused an increase in water generated. The increase in generated electricity resulted from non-hydro generation. Sugar production was up in this category by more than 81 metric tons due to an extended milling season. There was also increased consumer demand for soft drinks and beers. On the other hand, petroleum extraction decreased. In the primary sector during July, August, and September, Belize's banana and cattle productions fell, resulting from drought for both commodities as well as an increase in market prices for cattle. In addition, fishing products were down by $2.7 million compared to 2018. That's because the country didn't export any conch and also recorded a 76% decrease in shrimp exports for that period. The tertiary industries saw a $7.8 million increase in production over the July to September period of last year. This is 1.9% growth. In total, this sector produced goods and services valued at $422.5 million. The tourism sector most notably saw a decrease in activities by 11% or $2.6 million for that period. While July to September falls in the slow season, it was notably down when compared to the same period last year. An exact reason for this is not immediately apparent, but two scenarios that played out around this time were the closure of the western border to foreign buses, as well as the murder of American tourist Gary Swank.
Overnight visitors to the country decreased by 3.9%, which subsequently caused a 6.2% drop in hotel room revenue. Cruise visitors to the country also decreased during the quarter by 20.7%. In examining tourist arrivals were down as the total number of overnight visitors to the country fell from roughly 102,600 visitors in the third quarter of 2018 to 98,600 visitors in the same period of 2019. 2,400 less American tourists visited the country, 477 less Canadian tourists, and 137 less tourists from the United Kingdom visited the country. Cruise passenger arrival dropped 20.7% as a total of 13 less ship calls were made during the quarter.
The overall consumer prices for the first 10 months of this year when compared to last year were down by 0.2%. Prices of goods and services for October 2019 were down by 0.1% when compared to last year. Fuel, rent, and airfare prices were down, while education and food prices went up. The prices for vegetables, including cabbage, sweet peppers, and tomatoes, were up considerably, while the costs of lime and watermelon were down. Orange Walk residents paid the most for goods and services, while consumer prices were down in San Ignacio and Santa Elena, reflected in rental prices.
As lower prices were recorded in Corozal Town, Belize City, Belmopan City, San Ignacio and Santa Elena Town, and Anguilla Town. However, this decrease was partially offset by a 0.8% increase in the liquefied petroleum gas prices and a 5.2% increase in electricity tariff, as the new rate applied earlier in the year continued to take effect. When comparing October 2018 to October 2017, a significant increase of 14.8% was observed. Now, this is telling us that liquefied petroleum gas prices are now having a small increase of almost $1, while the previous year it has an increase of almost $15.
Belize imported $1.6 billion in goods and services for the first 10 months of this year. That represents an increase of over $30 million worth of goods over the same period last year. Imports of manufacturing goods such as metal structures, ceramic tiles, and vehicle tires increased by $14 million. Minerals, fuels, and lubricants increased by $13 million due to kerosene and diesel imports. Free zone imports, mostly clothing and footwear, increased by $8.3 million. There was also an increase in crude materials during this period. From January to October 2019, Belize's exports were valued at $359 million, an increase of $7.9 million in exports. Earnings from citrus products and crude petroleum fell, while banana exports are up by almost $4 million. It was a record-breaking year for sugar exports, but earnings still pale in comparison to previous years due to world market prices.
In 2019, with a 25% growth in exported quantities over that of 2018, we have reached the highest level on record in exported quantities of sugar. But we go back to our original question: how have we done in terms of our earnings? The fact is that world market prices for sugar are a far cry from what they were in earlier years. If we take 2019 and compare it to 2012, for this January to October period, we notice that we are exporting twice as much sugar, but earnings grew by less than 1/4.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.